In episode 7, Sarah has a very awkward breakfast with Topper. She doesn't really know what to do. She likes what happened, but she knows that it can't happen again. She does want to stay loyal to John B. As they're having this breakfast, though, they're overseen by Key, and Sarah gets really worried that Key's going to think less of her. So she chases after her and tries to explain herself. The two go back to Key's place, and Sarah comes clean about everything. Key's not mad at her, she's just disappointed. But in a way, Key understands what she's going through, because they've all been a little messed up since they returned. She starts talking to Sarah about the situation with JJ, and what really bothers her is the fact that JJ acts like stealing her dad's money clip is normal, like they can just move on from it. But Key doesn't want to move on, she wants an apology. As they're talking, Sarah gets a voice memo from Wheezy. Wheezy tells Sarah that she's in the Outer Banks, she needs to meet with her immediately, she doesn't want to be seen, come to a rental property that Rose had. That means that just about all the Camerons are back, because Ward made his triumphant return the other day. He goes and surprises Rafe, and that's exactly what it is, a surprise. He has to play this smart, though, because Rafe is such a loose cannon. Ward, however, loses his cool when he finds out what Rafe did with the cross. He can't believe that his son was so dumb to melt a priceless object down. I mean, it was one of a kind, and Rafe just doesn't understand the severity of it. All he's thinking about is the money, and he definitely doesn't care what Ward has to say. When Ward tries to drag him back to Guadalupe, he says, "No, I can stay here. I can have a life here. Dad, I flat out don't need you anymore." Ward tries to get Rafe to stop from leaving the room, and Rafe actually jacks him up against a wall. Rafe isn't about to be intimidated by his dad anymore, especially with the frail state that he's in. Later that day, Rafe, along with Barry, walk around town and they sell a lot of the gold. To celebrate, they throw a huge party at Rafe's house, but Barry brings up one concern he has. There's only one way all of this falls through, and that's Ward. Now that he's back, he feels like he could be the weak spot of their operation. He convinces Rafe that it's either going to be him or his dad. And if push comes to shove, his dad would kill him in a heartbeat. So he's got to get the jump on him. As for Ward's oldest daughter, while she's mad at her dad, she doesn't want to kill him. She heads to that property to meet with her sister, but she, just like her brother, is surprised because there's her dad in the flesh. The two have it out. It gets pretty contentious. Sarah has a lot to say with the position that her dad has put her in, and Ward definitely feels remorseful for what he did to her. He wants to make it up to her, and she points out that one of the ways he can do that is by giving the gold back to the Pogues, and he says, "Okay, we can consider that, but right now I'm here for you." He then hands her a credit card and keys, telling her that there'll be enough money on the credit card for her to survive, and the keys are to the property that they're currently in. She can stay there. Ward Cameron then leaves as quickly as he showed up. This will be news that Sarah fills Key in later that night because Key's parents are throwing an anniversary party, and Sarah's invited, as well as everybody else on the island, basically. Two people that won't be there, though, are JJ and John B. In order to find Big John, they're going to have to find where he's going. They head back to that murdered professor's house because he did have that quasi-map, and they find it. But they find a whole lot more than that. The name Neville, John B. sees it on a newspaper clipping of the expedition. It's the lone survivor left. His first name is Neville, and he lives in the area. JJ recognized the last name because he worked with somebody in the summertime with that same last name, and it's not a very common name. So they head to meet with the guy, they track him down, and they ask, "Hey, where's Neville at?" And the guy gives them directions to Neville's houseboat that's not too far away. When they get there, Neville, just like the professor, was on high alert. He thinks that anybody that's coming to visit him is doing so to kill him. It's quite a struggle, but they finally convince Neville that they are there in peace. They explain that unfortunately they were with the professor the other day and now he's dead. Neville's the only one left. They pull out the picture from the professor's house and they start asking Neville about it. And the first thing he says is that is an evil place. John B. explains that him and his dad found the piece that goes in the center. It's called the gnomon, and that's the thing that the two pieces combine to make. John B. starts explaining to Neville why they need to go to this place. The fact that Big John was kidnapped and they're headed there. But Neville doesn't want to give them any information. He is completely spooked. As John B. is pleading his case to Neville to give him the location, they hear something, and it's Singh's men coming to finish the job. They ambush Neville just like they ambushed the professor, although this time they miss. Thanks to the help of John B. and JJ, they're able to get away with Neville fully alive. Once they get to safety, John continues his pitch, saying, Neville, you're the only chance I have to see my dad alive again. Neville asks if they're going after the gold, and when both JJ and John B say yeah, Neville says, well, they're going to die anyway. Unless they can pass the test, but they probably won't. Because the test is in translating the idol. If you don't have the translation, you're not going to pass. Neville then goes into the backstory of this test. He tells them that El Dorado was founded by a king. When it came time for this king to die, he wasn't just going to give the gold to his sons. The gold had to go to the wisest man, and to ensure that this actually happened, he set up the test of the Gnomon. Whoever can pass this test will gain access to the gold. But if you fail the test, you die. And if you somehow get to the gold without taking the test, you're also going to die. JJ thinks that this is all talk, but Neville says, oh, tell that to the crew of the San Jose and the Royal Merchant. He does, however, ultimately give them the directions, because after all, John B. does want to save his father. But before they head there, he tells them both, make yourself pure of heart, pure of mind. You were there to save your father, because the gold kills everyone. Now that they have this information, it's just about getting to South America. Before they do that, they want to stop off and grab Key and Sarah and Pope, hopefully. They haven't seen him all day. They head over to Key's parents' party, but JJ warns John B., I probably shouldn't be seen here. I got into a big fight with Key's dad. I'm going to hang back if you don't mind. So John B. goes in alone. John B. runs up to Sarah. He apologizes for the last time he saw her. And he starts telling her, we got to go now. But she can't live with herself if she doesn't come clean. She tells John B. that she made a mistake and she hooked up with Topper. And he does not handle this well at all. As John B. is getting his heart broken, so is Key. She sees JJ and she goes and has a conversation with him. And it's the same crap. He's acting like nothing bad happened. As if he didn't steal her father's money clip. Just like with John B., JJ just tries to get Key to come along, but she wants to talk about this first. JJ doesn't want to talk. He wants to get this plan into effect and go save Big John. He can't believe that Key is being so, quote, selfish that she's not jumping on board for this opportunity. He starts walking away, and Key says, what is wrong with you? I mean, you're really going to act like you don't care? Hell, you're acting like I don't care. I love you, dude. JJ doesn't really know what to say to that. He stumbles over his words and just spurts out, yeah, it's not going to work, okay? Now I'm going to go help my best friend save his father. Maybe I'll see you when I get back. JJ then leaves. He meets up with John B. They're discussing what happened with both of them, but then John B. sees Topper and he goes into a rage. Even though Sarah begs him not to, John B. goes and swings at Topper, who doesn't even defend himself. He has no interest in fighting John B., but John B. keeps swinging and swinging, and he has to get pulled off by Key's father, who is enraged, because these two Pogues just ruined his anniversary party. This is definitely going to have John B. in trouble when he returns, but for the time being, he's not planning on doing that until he returns with his father. Him and JJ head in the boat and head off. The one person missing from the day is Pope. After thinking about it, he decided to go back to school. Even though it's a Saturday, he's got to get his life back on track. Although in school, all he can focus on is the gold, Tanny, the Royal Merchant, El Dorado, all of it. And then he realizes maybe it's all connected. He goes to Mr. Sun's office when he has some time and he starts discussing all of this. And Sun says, well, haven't you ever looked into your family's archives? I mean, there might be some answers there. And while Pope says he hadn't. So when he gets home, him and Cleo start looking around for anything that might give a clue to the gold from Tanny being connected to El Dorado. They find it. They find a letter that was written by Denmark Tanny to his daughter that was never opened. When they finally do open it up, it goes into talking about the priest on the ship, but more importantly, it has the code for what the hieroglyphics mean. Thank you so much for checking out this recap. Please consider subscribing to the channel and subscribing to my Patreon. Hit thumbs up if you liked it. Smash that thumbs down button if you thought it sucked. If you left a comment, I don't get back to you. I usually don't check the comments unless they're like a super comment. Also, if you don't see the next video up on the end screen, not to worry, it'll be up in a day or two.